the organizers for having me here and for the technical team for your patience in trying to patch me in here. We had some technical difficulties with all of the right accessories connecting. Many thanks to George for an interesting discussion and for answering many questions to bridge my 10 minutes of technical details. And I know you could have gone on for a long time. Let me try to give you a little bit about an introduction of concepts of sustainable nanofabrication. I will try to be brief. I know we are running 10 minutes late. I will try to get you out at your lunch break. The reason why I'm talking to you about this is because we are running a project which is called the NanoFabNet Hub, or that is in fact the result which we want to get out. We are calling this project NanoFabNet. It is a project in sustainable industrial scale nanofabrication, and specifically to build a network in which sustainable nanofabrication can happen. So what we are thinking of is that nanofabrication is very much the next step. It's the complex way of doing nanotechnology. It's the advanced way of connecting nanotechnology to the very high-tech applications that are created in the clean rooms. So it is very much the next generation, if you want, of nanotechnology, including its very advanced materials. And we want to do that sustainably. And there is the feel that there is not really an area in which experts of sustainability can collaborate with experts from nanofabrication. And that is why we want to build this platform for them. This is essentially our view of what we want to have at the end of this project. This is a 2.5-year funded project under the Horizon 2020 framework. And this is what we want to achieve in the end. We want to give the community a strong one-stop shop for sustainable nanofabrication. We want to create an international hub where everybody can link in from everywhere. We have a specific area in which we want to foster EU collaborations and international collaborations, corporations, and we want to specifically support the community with sustainable nanofabrication guidance and services. We want to create a sharing of infrastructures, knowledge, and skills, and we want to underline the whole thing with technology validation, harmonization, and standardization, because we eventually want to bring in the industrial community as well. So this should be the one global community where sustainable nanofabrication happens. We started off last year in March by asking the community, oops, I have a hang-up, by asking the community itself. So we had a first stakeholder meeting with a very good participation of people, although it was literally the day when the COVID-19 pandemic unfolded in Brussels and everything was shut down from one day to the next. We had many people joining us online. We had a very, very lively audience, and we asked the people, what scientific disciplines do you associate with the term nanofabrication? And people came up with a whole range of ideas. Chemistry was very much at the heart of it, and that goes with our perception of what nanomaterials and nanotechnology is largely about. It was largely born out of chemistry, but there is also a large aspect of engineering in there. And that is really the bit where we are now connecting it and taking it to the next level of really high-tech engineering that is done in the clean room, which is traditionally what a fabrication is about. And you can see that many people are already talking about environmental engineering here. And we believe that this is going to be the biggest area of overlap regarding our area of collaboration for sustainability and nanotechnology. So we then asked them, what do you associate with the term with the term sustainability. And in here you would have, I'm sure we would all come up with the same set of ideas. You have a lot of environmental concepts in there, a lot of circular economy concepts, eco-friendly, renewable, acceptance, and all of that is something that people believe should be important under the term sustainability. And if you then ask the people who we had invited to the workshop to tell us what they believed we should define as criteria for sustainable nanofabrication, since we are creating an environment of collaboration in sustainable nanofabrication for them, they combined that to an area where they said the definition of sustainable nanofabrication should be concerned a lot with safety, with waste, with energy consumption, but also with human health. And that is what we largely understand as a safety aspect. And for nanotechnology, we have been working on that safety aspect for a long time, including at the Venice Summer School and including over the past years, where we have been providing training in what we have the previous year and generally found out about safety aspects. So safety is a part of sustainability, but it's not all of sustainability. It means there is a lot more to sustainability that is not covered with safety. And a lot of that has to do with energy footprints, with general carbon footprints, and these are the ideas that people have when we ask them what should we do in order to create an area of sustainable nanofabrication for you in which you can collaborate. The one thing that you have to keep in mind, though, is that the people we had invited to this workshop, to this first NanoFabNet development workshop, were very much people who we knew from the nanotechnology crowd beforehand. So these were people who were nanotechnology experts, and they were people who were working with and have been very familiar with nanotechnology and specifically the safety of nanotechnology. So it is easy to understand why safety should play a big role for them, but also why they are saying when we look at sustainability, we are looking over and beyond safety, and we're looking at what the nanotechnology can actually do for sustainability itself. So we're not only looking at nanotech posing new challenges to safety aspects, but we are looking at nanotechnology being a solution of making the next technology that is created more sustainable and less energy intensive, with a smaller carbon footprint. So sustainability, sustainable nanofabrication is very much an area in which nanotechnology and nanofabrication in particular provides a solution to future sustainability. And that is something that we wanted to work out in particular, because we want to ideally bring people together in our NanoFabNet Hub that have not previously worked with each other, because we believe that there is a lot more to be known about how sustainability can be achieved than we can necessarily create out of the need of always having to apply nanotechnology. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring two entire disciplines together. And in order to find out where this is actually happening, both in terms of concepts and who is doing this research, we had this idea that we probably need to first of all a number of keywords that define nanofabrication, nanomanufacturing, and nanomaterials. And you can see here what we have done. This is a part of our proposal that we had submitted at the time. We have already come up with some ideas of how the areas of nanofabrication probably overlap with what we understand as nanomanufacturing, and that then overlaps with nanomaterials. This is a very crude way of showing this. One word of warning, depending on where you are, you may find the words nanomanufacturing and nanofabrication exchanged with each other, because the US tends to call it nanomanufacturing, whereas we are calling it nanofabrication. In Europe, manufacturing has a slightly different connotation from purely being the same as fabrication, but you quite often find these two terms interchanged depending on the cultural and industrial background. And the other area we're obviously looking at is the area of general technology sustainability. And we defined a few keywords for that one to begin with. And we defined how it probably overlaps with circular economy ideas and with concepts of eco-conceptualization. So you can see that the area of resource efficiency and life cycle assessment is pretty much one that is part of technology sustainability, but it also plays an important part in circular economy and in eco concepts as well. So this is what we wanted to actually understand, is how on a day-to-day basis do these areas actually overlap already. So what we did there is we did a literature analysis. We basically looked at the literature of the last 20, 30 years. We started in 1980, so 40 years pretty much, but we found out that the literature evidence of any papers in nanoscience and nanotechnology was very scarce, and it doesn't seem to have, for the moment, we are not entirely done with it, it doesn't seem to have much statistical relevance. So what I'm showing you here is a snapshot of nanoscience and nanosustainability, the entire map of science, with those two disciplines taken out and seen how they relate to each other. So if we only look at publications in journals that are classified as nanoscience or nanotechnology journals or sustainability journals, and we put them together and do a keyword search, we find that these two disciplines together form an area which describes a lot on nanoparticles, catalysts, carbon, sensors. So all of this is the technology area in which nanotechnology is settled, and together with what we understand nanomaterials research is covering, which is the strength and microstructure, that is very much an area which we can probably understand is the nanotechnology area of the time. And sustainability is very much defined as in terms of water, but also in terms of health sustainability. It talks a lot about forest and patients and rivers. So this is environmental health and concepts that need to be considered when one talks about environmental health, but also human health concept that that consider the patient as such. So if we break this down and we actually look at which part is largely nanotechnology carried in this general field of nanoscience, technology, and sustainability, and which part is largely sustainability carried, we can actually see that our guess was pretty good. We find here that the publications that came out of nanotechnology journals are very much covering an area in which the nanoparticle plays a big role, sensors, devices, and the microstructure of materials plays a big role as well. But we can also see here there is an area in the middle where nanotechnology has already, through its publications, focused a lot on water, nitrogen, pathways of distribution, and on therapy as well, meaning that these are probably areas into which nanotechnology is branching in terms of application. If we do the opposite now and we look where sustainability is happening, we find that sustainability is indeed largely an area here on the left. All centered around the actual term sustainability, but it takes a lot of focus into patients, forests, and rivers. So these concepts I spoke about earlier, these are the general sustainability concepts. And what we can see now is that this area in the middle is pretty much the area where nanotechnology and sustainability overlap. So while sustainability is on the far right, also covers a lot about nanoparticles, composites, mechanical properties, and electrocatalysts, we do know that this is the area that is strongly supported by nanotechnology. So in this area that is currently outlined by green words, by these green bubbles whose size indicate how often the keyword was used in these 1.6 million publications that we've been analyzing. The green area is largely the nanotechnology area, plus covered by sustainability. The red area on the left is largely one that only sustainability covers. And the area in the middle is one that both of them are covering to some extent, but very little in terms of nanotechnology. And what we believe what we need to do is we need to bring people together in this middle area. We need to make sure that whatever we are creating in our platform entices people to share more knowledge about how core sustainability aspects can be joined and collaborated with in terms of R&D with core nanotechnology and nanofabrication aspects. And the foundation for that is pretty much laid, but we have to do more in order to really entice these two communities to come together. So the next step, and I can't show you that unfortunately, is that we are going to identify the core experts behind these publications, and we are alerting them to the fact that here is an area in which both nanofabrication and sustainability can really work together well. There is an area where expertise is needed, where R&D is needed, and we would like to bring people together on this nanofabrication platform and sustainability people, so sustainable in nanofabrication. And just as an outlook, if you would like to find out a little bit more about it, the project is still running until August next year, and we are currently working on a number of publications. So the first one that we made available is the one that talks about concepts and disciplines of sustainability in nanotechnology and nanofabrication. This is very much a publication which looks from what you saw at the beginning of my presentation, which is the interpretation of those people who are already doing nanotechnology, and they largely focus on how safe is nanotechnology, how sustainable is nanotechnology. They largely focus on nanotechnology itself and the sustainability issues within it. Whereas what eventually we want to do is we want to show and showcase more of nanotechnology being a solution for future sustainability. So this is your first step in a series of publications. You can find it on our website, which I will show you at the end. And oops, there we are already. I thought there was another slide. We also did a, I can probably show you that. I think we have a little bit more time. This is the slide that I was referring to just now. We did a brief investigation of where industry considered sustainable nanofabrication to happen for it. And here you can see again the large interpretation. We spoke to a number of startup companies and a number of industrial companies. We try to cover every one of the different disciplines and market sectors that nanotechnology is going into. So all the way from environment, where nanotechnology provides a solution through water treatment and air filters, to agricultural applications through soil additives, for example, food, medical, and going all the way to very high-tech optical and semiconductor devices here at the bottom of the screen. And it all comes out of the idea of designing materials from their chemical composition and structure in a way that they become functional for these different applications. And in the end, of course, for some of these things, you have a direct link to the consumers, as you would have for medical and food and cosmetic care, cosmetics and care. For other things, you would need to go through a number of different applications, which are shown here as a dotted line. So you would not necessarily come in contact with the nanomaterial. There is a long value chain which uses the raw material, puts it in an application, puts it in another application, goes from one interim material to another, or goes through a number of processing steps in the device itself, and eventually ends up with the consumer. So the issues that of sustainability, and specifically the issues of safety within the concept of sustainability, are very different in every one of these applications. They're obviously very different for the areas that are currently indicated through a dotted line here, because you're so far away from the nanoparticle itself. But you do know also through current developments that we are in direct contact with some of the nanoparticles for some medical applications. So there is a much shorter way from the chemical composition of a nanomaterial to the consumer in pharmaceuticals, for example, and also in food. So all of this has been taken into consideration, and this is what we got as a response when the industry told us where they see the largest impact for sustainability in their area of expertise of doing nanotechnology, or specifically nanofabrication. So these are the things we're currently working on, and I did indeed, I'm sorry, not give you the website here, but I would be very happy to link you to that as I make my presentation available to you. Thank you very much.